This conference will now be recorded.
So we need to see how to filter the data on a date column. Sometimes we need to filter the data on a date column. When you need to filter the data on a date column, what are the different options we have? Let's understand, guys. How to filter the data on a date column. Open the Power BI. Open the Power BI. So while creating the visuals, how to filter the data on a date column? While creating the visuals, what I need to do? I need to apply the filters on a date column. Let's load some data here. Excel, desktop backup, source files. I'll load orders table. Orders table. Click on load. Click on load. Fine. Once we load the orders table here, we can start creating the visuals. So I want to create a visual. Let me create a visual with some date information. If I want to go and talk about date filters, first we need a visual with some date columns. Let's create a visual with date columns. You can take a line chart or you can take a column chart. Basically, date related information will show in the line charts only. Let me take the line chart. I want to show order date by sales. There is a column called order date. I want to show each order date by sales. Each order date by sales. So when you want to show order date by sales, I can drag the order date column, and I can drag the sales. When you drag the date column and sales, by default in Power BI, when you drag any date column, for the date column, it will create an hierarchy. So for every date column, it will create an hierarchy, date hierarchy. So it will show hierarchy level data. So if you look at here, it is not showing each individual date wise sales. We have the data from 3rd January, sort in ascending order. We have the data from 3rd January, 4th January, 4th January, 5th January, 6th January. Like this, we have the day wise data here. So I want to show each individual date. 3rd January, what is the sales amount we are getting? 4th January, what is the sales amount you are getting? And 5th January, what is the sales amount you are getting? And 6th January, what is the sales amount we are getting? Each day wise sales I want to show. So when you drag any date column, by default Power BI will show hierarchy level data. When you click on this button, you will see date hierarchy. So it will show, by default Power BI will create a hierarchy. When it find a date column, it will create a hierarchy. It will show hierarchy level data, date hierarchy, and that hierarchy level data it is showing. So what is hierarchy? Why Power BI is creating a hierarchy? When it create a hierarchy, it will not show day wise data. It will show by default year wise data. So it is showing year wise data by default. So when you create any visual with the hierarchy, even though when I drag a date column, it is not showing each individual day wise sales. It is showing an year wise sales. So here I don't want to show a hierarchy level data. So what is hierarchy? Next topic, once after the filters, the topic which we are going to discuss is hierarchies and drill down reports. So that time you will clearly come to know what is hierarchy. When I have a date column, why Power BI is creating a hierarchy, we'll discuss, guys. So once after the filters here, we'll discuss hierarchies and drill down reports. That time I'll clearly discuss. So when you drag any date column, why Power BI is creating a hierarchy, why it is showing the data at year wise, we'll discuss. For now, I don't want to show the data year wise. For each individual date wise sales, I want to show. So then once after dragging the date column, you need to click on this expand button. You want to go to the field wells. In the field wells, you need to click on this expand button and you need to change it to the order date. When you change it to the order date, it will show each date wise sales. Starting from 3rd January, we have the data. 3rd January, what is the sales? Like that, each day wise sales, it will show till 30th December. I have the data. It is showing till 30th December 2017. what is the sales amount you are getting. So unfortunately here it is showing day wise sales data, but from 14 to 15 this values, 15 to 16, 16 to 17, 17 from 17, this is the sales value. So it is showing a high level data, so that means it is showing the values very close to each other. I don't want to show the values very close to each other. I want to show for each date. Now it is showing 2015, 16, 17. Instead of that, I want to see the date here in the x-axis. Each order date and their sales value I want to see. Each order date and their sales value I want to see. Go to the format. Go to the format x-axis. You find continuous here. Continuous here. Instead of continuous, we need to change it to the categorical. 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 When you change it to the categorical, so it will show each date now, each date and their corresponding sales. Previously it shows at a high level year wise sales. Now it is showing each date wise sales. You can make it a bigger one. Each date and their corresponding sales it is showing. Each date and corresponding sales it is showing. Here you can see each date and their corresponding sales it is showing. Each date and corresponding sales it is showing. So on each date, January 13, 2017, 14, 15, January 15, January 16, like this, each day wise sales it is showing, guys. Fine. So how to show each day wise sales? If you want to apply the filters, I want to show order date wise sales. I'm planning to create a visual to show order date wise sales. If you want to create a visual to show order date wise sales, by default, when you drag any date column in Power BI, by default, when you drag any date column in Power BI, what Power BI will do is order date. When I drag order date, when I drag sales, by default, when you drag any date column in Power BI, how it will show is it will show the data at year wise sales. When you drag the date column, it is because of it will create a hierarchy. It will show. I said that I'll explain about this in next class. So if you don't want to show hierarchy level data, if you want to show each individual order date wide data, you can go and select order date. When I select order date, so it will give the data at a high level. So it will give the values at a high level. I am not able to understand the dates here. I want to show each individual order date in the x-axis. When you want to make any changes in the x-axis, select the visual, go to the format, go to x-axis. In the x-axis, you will find an option called continuous. Instead of continuous, you need to change the categorical. I'll explain what is this categorical again. So continuous means it will show like a scale. When I have continuous, it will show like a scale, multiples. It is showing year, multiples of year. When you take it as categorical, it will show each individual value, each individual value. So I want to enable the data label to show the sales value. And now it is showing each date and what is their sales value. Each date and their sales value. Each date and their sales value you are able to see here. Right? Each date and their sales value I'm seeing here. Fine. Each individual date and what is their sales value we are showing here. Now, so I want to apply the filter condition on a date column. When you go and try to apply the filter condition on a date column, first by default you'll see the basic filtering. So what are the different subtypes you will have on a date column? 5 subtypes you will find: basic filtering, advanced filtering, relative date filtering, relative time filtering, and top end filtering. 5 subtypes you are seeing here. Let's understand about each subtype. Basic filtering, when you go with basic filtering on a date column, what are the distinctive values you have? It will show almost 4 years data I have from 2014 to 2017. I have the data. I have the data. Almost 4 years data I have starting from 2014 to 2017. This 4 years, 4 into 365, almost 1500 days data you will find here. So it will show the distinct values in the order date. Around 1500 days you can find it. Going and selecting a particular date here, it will not work, guys. Basic filtering will not work on a date column. Only when I have less number of date values, then basic filtering will work. This time basic filtering will not work. Then next one is advanced filtering options. When you go with advanced filtering options, you will find different options on a date column. When you go with advanced filtering options, you can find different options here. When I click on expand, you are seeing a lot of options here. Is not, is after, is on or after, is before, is on or before, and is blank, is not blank. Let's understand about each one here. So when you want to show a particular date data, you can go and select is order date is. I can write a date column here. I can click on this calendar button. I can go and write a date column. When I click on this, it will go to years. So I want to show something date like 17th August 2016 data. 17th August 2016 year. 2016 year August 17th. Click on apply the filter. So it will show only that particular date data on. So when you write is date, that will show it that particular date data. When I want to show any date, a particular date data, we can show it, guys. So I want to create one card visual where I want to show create a card visual, create a card visual and show create a card visual, show card visual to show sales, sum of sales for order data, sum of sales for order data, order date equal to, so one date value. So I want to show date for which date, 17th, some date we given here. We tried to create a filter here, 17th August 2016, 17th August 2016, 2016. Just close this, just close this. Look at this, create a card visual. I want to create a card visual where I want to show sum of sales for order date equal to this. So you can just go and drag a card visual, and when you drag the sales, it will show the sales for complete data. It will show for sales for complete data. I don't want to show the sales complete data. I want to show only one date data where order date equal to what? I want to show the sum of sales for order date equal to 17th August 2016. So that means I want to filter the data in the card visual based on order date column. Drag the order date column here, and basic filtering will work. I cannot go and search for the value. Almost 1500 days is there. I cannot go and search for this date, a particular date. I cannot go and search for this particular date. It is not possible, guys. Then what we need to do? You need to go with advanced filtering. In the advanced filtering, you want to go with ease. When you go with ease, you can give the date. When you click on this calendar button, so when you click on this, you will go 1 month forward. So going 1 month forward will take afternoon time. Instead of that, what I can do is I can go 1 year forward. Click on this. You can go 1 year forward. 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016. 2016 August 17th data. When I click on apply, it will show that particular date. What is the sales amount you have? Whenever you want to show a particular date data, you can go and select is, and you can give the data. You can manually type the date, or you can use a calendar icon here, calendar. So using the calendar, you can give the data. The same way is not means other than this date, it will show all other dates sum of sales. When I click on is not, when I click on apply, other than this date, it will show all other dates what is the sum of sales, except this date. For all other dates, it will show what is the sum of sales. So sometimes you have, after a particular date, after 17th August 2016, what is the sum of sales amount we are getting? After this date means 17th August means from 18th August 2016, what is the sum of sales amount we received? So when you want to show particular date after data, it is 0.16 million. So here also, I want to show the data after a particular date. Advanced filtering, you can find is after. So is after, when I give any date here, is after, let me go to 2016 August, 2016 August some 17. When I click on apply, is after this date means after this date it will start. After this date is what? 18th August. When I go and check it here, after this date is 18th August 2016. The starting date from this date till end date, whatever the data we have, it will give. After that particular date, sometimes clients will ask us to show the data. If you want to show after particular date is after. If you want to include the date also, I want to include this date starting from this date, 17th August, after this date, is on or after, is on or after. When I click on apply, is on or after this date, starting from August 17, after that date, starting from that, after the date, it is showing the data, starting from the date, after the date. Same way is before this particular date means it will show the data till 16th August 2016. When you go to the end date will be 16th August 2016. 16th August 2000. Before this date, I'm asking to show only the data before this date. If you want to include this one also, you can go with is on or before, apply. When you click on is on or before, it will even include this date also. It will even include 17th August also. 17th August also. The same way is blank. If there is any date values blank, I want to show that blank dates. I don't have any blank dates in my order date column. It is not showing any data. Is not blank. Is there any non-blank values are there? If there is any non-blank values, it will show that non-blank values. So all my dates are non-blank values, right? So order date wise, on non-blank values I want to show. So very rarely, if there is any date blank dates, for that blank dates, how much is the sales? Sometimes clients will ask, show the sum of sales amount we received, where we don't have any date order date values. I want to show sum of sales here where I don't have any date values. You can go and select is blank. So when order date is blank, there is no sales, nothing. There is no date values as blank. So whenever you want to write any condition on blank values, you can go with is blank or is not blank, guys. Sometimes you want to create a visual, create a card visual and show the data from. So I want to show sum of sales here. Create a card visual. Create a card visual. Show sum of sales where show sum of sales. Create a card visual. Show sum of sales where order date is greater than or equal to 1st January 2016 and less than or equal to order date, this time less than or equal to order date less than or equal to 1st January 2016 1st December 2016. That means 2016. So I want to show data order date greater than 1st January 2016, starting from 2016 starting date till 2016 ending date. That means I want to show sum of sales for only 2016 data. When you want to show only sum of sales for 2016 data here, you can take a card visual, and in this card visual I want to filter the data based on order date column. When you want to show only 2016 data, you want to go with advanced filtering. So this time two conditions, order date is greater than, so this is equivalent to order date between. So order date greater than or equal to this date and less than or equal to this date you have, right? It is equivalent to order date between order date between 1st January 2016 and and 1st January 2016 and 1st December 2016. So 31st, guys. Let's write, instead of writing first year, write 31st. 31st. So I want complete that month data, that year data, 31st December. So 31st December 2016. Order date between these two dates, 2016 complete data. What is the sum of sales I want to show? So between means, if you, sometimes when you don't find between, you want to use greater than or equal to and less than or equal to. In the date also, when you go with advanced filtering, you'll see is on or after. Greater than or equal to is nothing but is on or after. Starting from which date you want? I want some 2016 data, right? Starting from 2016 January 1st, January 1st, and is on or before 2016 2016 December 31st. December 31st. So and operator you need to take. So I want only for 2016 year. What is the sum of sales? When I click on apply, it will show only for 2016 year. So when you go and apply the filter, see is on or after 1st January, starting from 1st January 2016, after the date, and before December 31st 2016, before the date, before the date. I can show this data. Fine, guys. So once you are done with showing this, so the between, whenever you want to show between data, you want to use both is on or after and is on or before, and you want to take a and operator. These are the advanced filtering options you are finding. So when you go to this date column, these are the advanced filtering options you are finding. They are self-explanatory options. So just try with them by creating the visuals. The next one is, once after advanced filterings, we seen basic filtering. So when I have less date values, basic filtering will work. So then top and filtering. So in top and filtering, let me copy the visual to this page. So I have 4 years data here. If you look at this in this visual, Control V, let me copy this visual, Control C, and in the page file, let me paste this visual. So I have 4 years data in this order date wise sales. I want to show top 5 days where we have more sales. In the 5 years, I want to see only top 5 days. Top 5 days, order dates where we have more sales. Top 5 days. When you want to see top 5 days, you want to go to the order date column. You want to go with advanced filtering. Top and filtering guys. Whenever you want top values, top 5 days, I want top 5 order dates based on the sales. When I drag the sales value, you can see here. It is taking some time. Let us drag. When I click on apply, it will show top 5 days where we have more sales. Totally, even though in 4 years, what are the top 5 days where we have more sales here? We can show it up. Top 5 days where we have more sales. So if you want to sort that based on the sales value, now it is sorting the data based on a date value. Least dates to highest dates. Dates to March 18, 2014. So highest dates. So October 22nd, 2017, least dates to highest dates, it is sorting. Instead of that, I want to sort based on sales. So it will show highest sales. You can even sort in descending order. So on which date you have highest sales is March 18th, 2014 is the first highest sales where I am getting. And then October 2nd, 2016. October 22nd, 2017, third highest sales. So like this, if you want to show top 5 days where we have more sales, or else you can show bottom 5 days where we have less sales. These are the bottom 5 days where we have very less sales business. So if you want to show top or bottom values based on a date column, you can go with top and filtering. And relative date filtering is important filtering. Sometimes clients will ask you to create a visual. Whenever I open a visual, I want to see last 3 days quantity we sold. Whenever I open the visuals, I need to see last 3 days data, in the visual, 3 days data in the visuals. So days means it is a date column. Last 3 days data. I want to apply the filter on a date column. Whenever I open the visuals, I need to see last 3 days data. So when I open a report today, it needs to show last 3 days data, starting from 30th till today. When I open the report on 16th of October, I need to see 14th, 15th, 16th data. So the filter condition need to change dynamically. So whenever the filter condition need to change dynamically, you need to go with relative date filtering. Here it is not a static condition. So I don't want to show only last 3 days data. So whenever I open a card visual here, I'm showing total quantity here. Whenever I open this visual, I want to see last 3 days, what is the quantity we sold. So when I open today, it needs to show last 3 days, what is the quantity we sold from today, last 3 days. When I open on 22nd, 21st, 22nd, what is the quantity we sold? It need to change the date conditions dynamically based on our system date. Based on the system date, it need to change the conditions dynamically. Whenever we need to change the date conditions dynamically based on system date, whenever we need to change the date conditions, change the date conditions. Whenever we need to change the conditions on a date column dynamically based on, whenever we need to change the conditions on a date column, whenever we need to change the conditions on a date column, dynamically, whenever we need to change the, whenever we need to change the conditions on a date column dynamically based on the system date, based on system date, we need to use what? We need to use relative date filtering. We need to use relative date filtering here. There is a subtype called relative date filtering. We need to go and use the relative date filtering. Here, I want to show last 3 days, what is the quantity we sold. So I can drag the order date column, and this time I want to apply the filter on a date column, and I need to consider today's date. From today's date, last 3 days data I want to show. I can go here. I want to go with the relative date filtering this time. When I go with the relative date filtering, you'll see some option here. Is in the last. When I go here, so you select is in the last 3 days. How many days data you need to show? Last 3 days. Do you want to include today? Include today, last 3 days you want to show? Exclude today. Include today means from타, last 3 days. When you exclude this, when you remove this, from yesterday, last 3 days. When you exclude this, from yesterday, last 3 days. When you include today, last 3 days. When you exclude today, last 3 days. When you include today, last 3 days. When you include today, last 3 days. When you exclude this, when you remove this, from yesterday, last 3 days. When you yesterday last 3 days, whether you want to show from today last 3 days or from yesterday last 3 days. When I click on apply, today last 3 days, 2nd October to September, 30 September to 2nd October is the last 3 days. Yes, correct. Including today, last 3 days is this. Last 3 days. When I go and select last 5 days, including today, last 5 days is from here to here. So 28, 29, 30, 1st, 2nd. 28 to 2nd is the last 5 days. Including is in the last 5 days. At the same time, is in the last 5 days. The next one is you can even go and exclude today. When I click on exclude today, from yesterday last 5 days, from yesterday last 5 days is wait, from 27 to 1st is last 5 days excluding today. Yesterday, from yesterday, it's up to us, guys. If you want to include today, you can include today. It will show from today last 5 days. So I'm not having any quantity sold in the last 5 days. So if you give a bigger number here, I have data till 2017 only, right? When I give a bigger number, it can show some value. Last 1,000 days, that last 1,000 days also you don't have it. Last 1,200 days, something, take it here. When I click on apply, it will show some values. Last 1,200 days will come between these two date ranges. So between the dates, it will give what is the quantity we sold. Basically, sometimes when you open the report, we want to see last 3 days what is the quantity we sold, last 3 days what is the sales amount we received, last 3 days what is the profit amount we received. When you want to show, so you are showing quantity, right? Same way, I want to show what is the sales amount we received in last 3 days. You can drag a sales column. By default, when you drag it, it will show complete sales. I don't want to show complete sales. I want to show last 3 days what is the sales we have. So that means you want to filter the data based on order date column. Based on our system date, when you want to filter the data, you want to go with the relative date filtering. It's in the last 3 days, including today. What is the sales we made? In the last 3 days, we don't have sales, any sales. That is the reason it is showing blank values. Nothing sales is there. You can even show what is the profits in the last 3 days. There are multiple options. When you go with is in the last, you can select 3 and you can write 3 days, and it's in the last 1 week. So next option you are seeing is last 1 week. Last 1 week means from today last 7 days, from starting from today last 7 days. So from 26th to 2nd is the last 7 days, starting from 26th till 2nd. Starting from 26th till 2nd is the last 7 days. It's in the last 1 week. What is the sales we made? It's in the last week. If you want to show what is the sales we made, when I click on apply, last 1 week for me is last 7 days. I select is in the last 1 weeks. Last 1 week means last 7 days. Last 7 days for us is 26th to 2nd. Look at this. 26th September to 2nd October is the last 7 days. The next option you'll find is in the last one calendar week. Last one calendar week. Calendar week means the current calendar week is 27th to 3rd. The next calendar week is 4th to 10th. Calendar week will start from Sunday and ends on Saturday. And last calendar week for us is this is the current calendar week. Last calendar week for us is starting from 20th to 26th. So this is the last calendar week for us. This is the current calendar week. This is the last calendar week for us, 20th to 26th. 20th to 26th is the last one calendar week for us. It is showing last one calendar week. Do we have any sales? We don't have any of them. So same way is the last 1 month. Last 1 month means one day after today's date in the last month. It will give the data one day after today's date in the last month. One day after today's date in the last month is what? 9th September, 3rd September. So one day after today's date, today is 2nd. One day after today's date is 3rd. So September 3rd, 2020 to September 3rd, 2022, 2nd October 2020. So from today, last 30 days. So one day after today's date, it will give. Simply, guys, when you select is in the last 1 month, one day after today's date in the last month. So when you go and select is in the one calendar months, when I click on apply, is in the last one calendar month. One calendar month is nothing but current calendar month is October month. Last calendar month for October is September month. It is showing September month data. When I am in October, it will show September data here. When I am in December, so when current date is in the December, it will show November data there. November data, 1 month previous month data is in the last one calendar month data. Is in the last one calendar month data. Same way, is in the last 1 year data. 1 year means it will show last 365 days. One day after today's date in the last year. Today's date is 2nd October. One day after today's date is 3rd October 2019. In the last year, one day after today's date, one day after today's date till 2nd, 2nd October till today, it is showing last 1 year data. Last 1 year data. Same way, you have one calendar year data. When I click on apply, last one calendar year data. Starting from last one calendar year is, current calendar is 2020. Last calendar year is 1st January 2019 to 31st December 2019. When I write some 3 calendar years, we have some data here. The least 3 calendar years is, current calendar year is 2020. Last 3 calendar years is 2019, 2018, and 2017. 2017. 3 calendar years data. So like this, same way, you have options. Whatever the options you are seeing here, you can even find them for the is in the next. Sometimes you'll have future date data. So target related data. Sometimes you'll have a date columns which contains target related data. Target related data. So target related data means future dates will be there. November data, December data, January data, 2021 data, February data. So for bank managers or any retail business, they'll operate based on targets. They'll have the targets. Next 1 month what, next 1 year what. So I want to create a report here where I want to show what is the quantity I need to sold for next coming 1 month. Next 1 month, what is my target? Next 30 days, what is my target? When I want to show next 30 days, what is my sales target or profit target? You can drag the profit column. Next 30 days, I want to, so basically order date column is not the right column. You will have a column with the name target rate, target date, not order date, target date. Take this as a target date in the next 30 days. So relative date filtering is in the next 30 days. What is the profits I need to generate? And I click on apply. Next 30 days means starting from today, next 30 days. So next 30 days starting from today is, starting from today, including today, starting from today, 31st October. October. So starting from 2nd October to 31st October is the next coming 30 days. Next coming 30 days, it will give you the target here. So very rarely you will come across the future date columns. So if you want to apply any filter condition on future date columns, you need to go with is in the next. Again, that is dynamic again. It is not a static condition. That condition need to change based on the date column, based on the date column. That condition need to change based on the date column. Same way, there is another option called is in this. Is in this day means today's data. Is in this day, today's data it will give. 2nd October data it will give. So when tomorrow when you open this report, this filter will change to 3rd October. Day after tomorrow when you open this, it will change to 4th October. So is in the day, it will change, guys. Same way, is in this week. When I click on apply, is in this week, current week. Current week is 27th to 3rd, 27th September to 3rd October, 3rd October. And same way is in this month. Current month is what? October month. Complete October 1st to October 31st. Is in this year, current year, 2020, 2020 year. So like this, if you want to write any conditions based on our date, system data, when you open this report in 2021, it will show 2021 data, that year data. Whenever you want to change any conditions dynamically, we need to go and use dynamically based on system date. You need to go and use relative date filtering, guys. Relative date filtering. Any questions here about relative date filtering or basic filtering or advanced filtering? So we don't want to bother much here. Very rarely we'll use all the options. So mostly advanced filtering options. Some options we will utilize them when we are working in the real time. Remaining options based on the client requirement, we'll use it. It is not a big deal. It is not even a big difficult one. So as we are discussing all the options, you might be getting confused, but it is very simple, guys. Applying the filters is not a difficult thing. It is simple. The same way we discussed about. So if you want to show last 2 hours data, I want to show what is the last 2 hours sales amount we received. So show me, whenever I open a visual, show me last 2 hours. What is the sales we made? 2 hours. What is the sales we made? Sales we made. So very rarely again we need. So I want to consider my system date and time. And by considering system date and time, we want to show last 2 hours what is the sales we made. So if you want to change the filter conditions dynamically based on the time column, date and time column, if you want to change dynamically, this time you need to go with the relative time filtering. When you go with relative time filtering, same options you'll see. It's in the last. So you can select 2 hours. If you want to show last 2 hours data, you can select it. If you want to show last 2 minutes data, you can show it. So if you want to change the filter condition dynamically, whenever you open the report, it need to show only last 2 hours data for you. Last 2 hours data. So very rarely we'll go with, but we'll use relative time filtering, guys. Relative date filtering will use. Relative time will use rarely. Relative date filtering we'll use in majority of the projects. These are the different subtypes you have, guys, on a date column. So this is the high level explanation. So once we are done with applying the filters on a date column, so we want to discuss few more things here about the filters. So totally we've seen that how many types of filters we have. 4 types of filters we have. So when to use which filter we discussed. Once after that, how many types of subfilters we have we discussed. On a text column and number column, we'll have 3 types of subfilters. On a date column, we'll have 5 types of subfilters. What kind of options you can find, we seen there. And next one, we're going to understand when we apply the filters, you'll find some options. Yes.
Sir, I have a question like in my table, let's assume that we have 30 to 40 lakhs records that we have in a
Ah.
table. So it contains last 4 years data. So
Mm,
I have to filter the sales count or quantity count like year wise, sir. For example, we know the what are the years we have, which years we have in the table. Let's assume
mm,
2016, 17, 18, 19.
mm.
Okay, sir.
Simple,
As
guys.
well
You
as
don't want to
when
maintain.
I select when in
Mm,
the slicer or somewhere else we when we select the 2016, based on that I want to show the counts are like that, sir. What is my question is, I do not want to load the total data due to it's a 40 lakhs records into the
mm,
load. I mean, in the Power Query I do not want to load the total data or Power Pivot.
mm, mm.
So based on the selection of the year, I have to calculate the sales count and all those things by using filters. How can we can do that?
What is your question, man? Question is not clear. So you mean to say you don't want to bring the data into the Power Pivot model? Always you want to bring the data when you select any year, you want to bring the data from source you are asking about?
Yes, sir. I want to show the quantity, sales counts, and all those things dynamically.
Ah, so
By using
dynamically,
filters, how
I
can we achieve that?
understand, but you don't want to bring it to the Power Pivot, all the data. Data
Yes, sir.
should be there in the, you are telling that, let me explain my understanding. You have 40 lakhs records here. You don't want
Yes,
to load all the records into the Power Pivot. So when I select any slicer value here, that
mm.
time it need to show without having the data here. When I apply any filter, it need to show the data,
Yes, sir.
right? That is
Yes,
what your
exactly.
question.
Yes, sir.
So without data here, how can you apply the filter? One thing we can
No.
do, there is an option called direct query. We can connect to the data sources in the direct query mode. So when you bring the data, get data, SQL Server, we can create the visuals using direct query mode. When you do the direct query mode, it will not load all the data into the Power Pivot. You can create the visuals here. Every time when they open the visual, based on the filter you selected, that filter will be passed to the source and it will show that data. You need to connect to the data source in the direct query. The second option is you want to mandatorily load the 40 lakhs records to Power Pivot, and you can select the filter here. So when I take one card visual here, when I show the quantity, I don't want to show all the quantity. Now I have all the 4 years data, but I don't want to show all the quantity here. Client want to select a year here. We can give a permission to select the year here in the slicer. They can select it. So where it is filtering the data is here, it have 4 years data. When I select any value, so it will apply this filter in the Power Pivot model. If you don't want to load all the 4 years data, 40 lakhs records here, when I select any date here, when I want to filter the data, when you want to show it, you want to connect through direct query mode.
Okay. The direct query mode, how can we give that and directly select start from the table? Now, if you give that,
You
it will
don't
not
want to
take
give
all the.
select star from table name. Direct query mode will load only the table definitions into the Power Pivot. It will not load data. So it will
Okay.
load table definitions. When you create visuals on the table definitions, so what visual you are creating, that query will directly fire in here, and that data will show in the visual. here you will not have any data. Zero records will be there in the PowerPoint. Only table definitions will be there. That table definitions, when you use columns, when you use in the visuals, it will write the query to the database. It will try to show the data, live data from the database. So you will understand
So
in the
we,
coming classes what is direct query and what is import.
okay, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
So clarify your question.
So we have to pass year column to that direct query, right?
So you see nothing. You are not going to do anything. Let me show you here. Open a new report, Power BI desktop report. Power BI desktop report. I'll bring some two tables from SQL Server. Direct query again. You can connect to only databases. You can connect in direct query mode. For the files, you cannot connect in the direct query mode. So I'm opening a Power BI desktop report, new report. I want to connect to a SQL Server database. This time, as I have huge volumes of data, I don't want to bring the data here. I want to bring only the table definitions. If you want, you can bring it. It's up to you. I want to bring only the table definitions. Let me bring it. So server name, let me give the server name here, and database name, press OK. Database name, press OK. When you press OK here, you'll see the tables. Let me bring some tables: customers table, sales table, and time table. Press load. So sorry guys, which mode I selected? Direct query or import? I think I selected import. I don't selected direct query. Let's wait. It is bringing the data. Let's close this file and open another file again quickly. So let me open it here. File, new. You can open multiple reports in Power BI desktop at a time. It is possible. Might be when you don't have the idea about what direct query is, what we are doing, you cannot understand. But let me quickly explain this. So get data from SQL Server, and let's give the server name. And I want to go with direct query this time, not import. I want to bring the tables from product database, customer table, product table, sales table, and time table. Click on load. When you do this, in the report, direct query report, it will not load the data. It will load only table definitions. When you go and check it, you will have only tables and columns. You don't have data. If you see, data view is missing here. Data view is missing here. Data we connected in the direct query mode. When you create any visual here, I'm creating a card visual where I am showing the sales value, sales data, sales amount. So when you drag it, this time it will write the query in the source and it will show the data. So when I go and take a slicer, when you drag the year column here, from the date column, when I drag the year, so I can drag a calendar or something here. When I select any year here, we show in a bigger one, bigger text, go to the view, actual size. So when you select any year, again, it will fire the query on the source. It will bring it. So if you frankly to speak, you don't have data here. You just have the table definitions. Every time when you select, it will go to the source and it will bring the data. Every time when you select 2014, it is writing a query in the SQL Server. From SQL Server, it is bringing the data. Even one
Okay.
record is also not available in the sales table now. Every time it is bringing the data from source.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions, guys? Fine. The next one is, we want to discuss about few options here. When you apply the filters here, that filters you can see here. So when you save this report, when you publish this report to Power BI service, they can see whatever the filters we applied in the report. By default, clients, when you save the report in the desktop, filters class 3, class 3, class 3. When I desktop, click on save. When you save any report, filters class 3. When you click on publish, click on save. I want to publish to a workspace called 7 p.m. workspace. 7 p.m. September 2020 Power BI files workspace. Click on select. When you publish the report and when you share that report with the client, let me log in with user 23 app.powerbi.com. App.powerbi.com. Let me log in with user 23. So when you click on when you sign in and when you share the report, here, so what is the report you have here? So we published it to a workspace called 7 p.m. workspace. Let me go to 7 p.m. workspace, September files, and there is a report with the name filters class 3. This is the one. When I share this report with my client is user 25. User 25 is my client. I'm sharing to my client. When I share this report with my client can log in here, Chrome. I'm opening another web browser. I'm logging here. When I log in with user 25, when I log in with user 25 here, what I can do is, what I can see is, I can go to the shared with me folder. I can see a report. Sort days, sort based on today's date, filters class. When I open it, client even he can see what filters we applied. When you select any visual on that column, on that visual, what filters we applied, we can see. So whatever the visuals you have on that visuals, if you apply any filters, they can see the filters. You applied a filter here, so they can even clear that filter also. So they can even clear that filter on this visual. I'm trying to show only 2016 year data, 1st January 2016 to 31st December 2016 you are showing. So when you leave as it is, client, so there is no use. Why we are applying the filter here in the report level is, why we are applying the filter here is, so my Power Pivot contains complete data. I want to hide some data to my end users. They're not supposed to see the data. They want to see only the required data. So that is the reason you are applying the filter. You applied the filter very good. You hide the data and the visuals very good. But when you publish it and when you share it, by default, clients can see that filters. When you select the visual, on that visual, what filters we have, we can see it. We can go and click on clear filter here. We can go and click on clear filter. When you click on clear filter, the filter will be cleared in this visual. The filter will be cleared in this visual. So look at this, we cleared it. It got cleared. So it is not correct. So when we apply any filters, sometimes we don't want to show that filters to the client. So sometimes we need to log the filters. So fine, I applied a filter. I'm not supposed to provide a provision to change them. They can even change this filter also. When they click on this expand button, they can see the filter subtypes here, and they can even change the filters however they want. They can change the dates and they can change the filters. So one thing clients will ask you is, sometimes they'll ask you to show the filters, but don't provide them a provision to change the filter. In the third page 3, there is a filter. I don't want to change the, I don't want to provide a provision to the client to change this filter value. They just want to see it. They're not supposed to change it. When they're not supposed to change this filter value, how can you stop it? How can you stop it is, when they're not supposed to change this filter value, how can you stop this? So there is an option. When you go to the filter, if you don't want to allow them to change the filter, I want to show the filter to the client, but they are not supposed to change it. For that, you have an option called lock filter. Lock filter. When you lock the filter, when you publish it, this time, so currently the client is able to change the filter values here. They can change the start value. Look at this. They can change the start value to some value. When I click on apply, the values will change. They can change the filter conditions. But I want to show the filters what we have here, but I'm not supposed to provide them a provision to change it. For that, you need to lock the filter. So when you lock the filter here, this time, when you lock the filter, this time they cannot change it. I locked it. I'm publishing to a workspace called 7 p.m. workspace. 7 p.m. September 2020 Power BI files. Click on select. When you publish it, it will ask you to replace. Already report is there. You need to replace. When you replace it this time, the client will not change the filter. Even though he can see the filter, he cannot change it. Let's refresh it once. I can see the filter, but I cannot refresh it. I can see the filter. The filter is locked. He cannot change the filter values. He can just see the filter values here. That is one thing, guys. The second thing is, so sometimes clients will ask, don't show this filter. If you don't want to show only one filter, I want to show all the filters what we applied. So what filter I applied here, I want to show. What filter I applied in other pages, I want to show. In this filter, in this page, what filters I applied, I want to show. I want to hide only the filter which is there in the page 3, or else I want to hide what filter I applied in the page 5. When you want to hide an individual filter, you have an option called hide filter option. So this time in the 5th page, the filter what we applied here, we are able to show. So when you select this visual, we're able to show we applied a filter on order date column and we are showing bottom 5 values. I want to hide this filter. What filter I applied here, I want to hide to my client. When you want to hide to your client, how can you hide it? Click on save. Click on save. You can hide this filter. How can you hide this filter is, just hide. You first it will show by default. You want to click on hide filter. Save this. Click on publish. In the 5th page, this time client will not see the filter. Why? Because we hide that filter to the client. We hide that filter to the client. We are hiding that filter to the client. Let's go and check here. We are hiding that filter to the client. So when you refresh it this time once, so on that visual, when you select the visual, this time you don't find that filter. So look at this on order data, least 5 days I'm showing. Bottom 5, bottom 5 days sales. It is not showing that filter. But in the page 3, you are not hiding that filter. It is showing. You just lock that filter. So if you just don't want to show the filter to the client, so if you don't want to show the individual filter to the client, you can go to that visual. You can hide that filter option. You can hide that filter option. Hide that filter option. If you want to lock the filter, you can lock it. So majority of the cases in the real time, what we will do is we'll hide the complete filters pane. Whatever the filters we applied here, just for our sake we applied it. I have a complete data in the Power Pivot. I want to hide the data in the visuals. I don't want to show the data in the visuals. So you can completely hide this filters pane. When the client opening it, you can stop showing this complete filters pane. When you stop showing it, you cannot see any filters you applied on that report. Complete in that report, whatever the filters I applied, I want to hide them. In one go, you can hide it. This is the best practice, guys. When you create any report, when you share that report with the client, hide the complete filters. Complete filters. Save this, click on publish. This time, when you share this report with the client, client cannot see any filters pane itself. When client is not seeing any filters pane, you cannot see it all. Look at this. Got it. Look at this. So you can go to this workspace. You can see the, you can go to the report. You can go to the shade with me, and the report is current report. Let's sort it. So filters class, when you go here, now I am not seeing filters pane. Go to any page. I'm not seeing filter pane. Why? Because in this report I hide the filter pane. Whenever you hide a filters pane, when you so in this report I hide the complete filters pane. When you publish it, client will not see the complete filters pane itself. Whenever you are applying the filter conditions on a visual level, or on a report, if you want to hide that, if you want to hide a individual filter, you can select that. You can hide it here. Or if you want to lock that filter, you can lock it here. If you want to hide the complete filters pane, you can hide it here. Remember these 3 options. We know this is for clearing the filter. We can even clear the filter using this option. So we can go with this clear filter. So most of the cases you hide them, unless if your client is asking, provide me a provision to change the values in the filters, then only show it. Majority of the cases, whatever the filters we are applying in this Power View, a developer, we will hide to the clients. We'll hide to the clients. This is all about the filters, guys. I'll share this class, today's class, for all the people, for all the 7 o'clock people. I'll share this video.